Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely wild scenario. We're looking at how to handle a situation when the odds are just completely stacked against you. We're breaking down a legendary battle from the ancient Mahabharata to see exactly how an elite warrior navigates a constantly escalating threat. So buckle up, because we are dropping right into the middle of the action.
Just imagine the scene for a second. How do you survive when a demon army entirely surrounds your chariot, vehemently raining down this deadly, incessant storm of darts, axes, and maces, like literally from all sides? That is the exact chaotic scenario our hero, Arjuna, faces right out of the gate. The odds are absolutely overwhelming, the noise is deafening, and the sheer terror of the threat is immediate.
All right, let's dive right into this first phase, the demon ambush.
So our primary antagonists here are the Nivata-Kavachas, though the ancient text also refers to them interchangeably as the Dinavas or Asuras. But make no mistake, they are all the same terrifying demonic force. The text describes them as a formidable group of grim-visaged demons. And they don't just attack Arjuna, they rush at him in this massive body, heavily equipped with arms. They completely obstruct the course of his chariot, shouting loudly, and just hemming him in on every single side. I mean, this isn't a duel, right? It's a suffocating swarm designed to crush him instantly under the sheer weight of numbers and heavy weaponry.
You really have to look at the stark contrast in how these two sides fight. On one hand, the demons unleash this crude, brutal barrage. We're talking hatchets, spears, massive maces, and clubs being hurled at Arjuna's car without a break. But Arjuna? He doesn't meet brute force with brute force. His response is completely clinical. He uses sundry swift arrows, coursing straight and true. It is absolute precision going up against total chaos.
And, that precision comes from his legendary weapon, the Gandiva bow. The Gandiva is really the ultimate equalizer on this battlefield. The source tells us that in the midst of this overwhelming conflict, Arjuna uses the Gandiva to shoot these swift arrows, piercing each attacking demon with exactly 10 stone-whetted shafts. Just think about the sheer skill that takes. Mid-swarm, he is perfectly placing 10 arrows per target. He doesn't just hit them, he systematically drives the entire demonic horde back with these rapid-fire, calculated strikes.
Which brings us to the next crucial element of this battle, Matali, the master charioteer.
See, Arjuna isn't acting alone out there. He relies heavily on his charioteer, Matali. And this brilliantly illustrates the staggering scale of their vehicle. We aren't talking about a little cart pulled by 2 horses. The text explicitly states there are hundreds upon hundreds of fiery steeds yoked to this mighty chariot. Yet, and here is where Matali's absolute mastery really shines, because they are so deftly conducted by him, they move as if they were only a few. They operate in total, terrifying unison. So what happens when you combine Arjuna's marksmanship with Matali's driving? You get this devastating 3-step tactical counterattack. First, Matali guides these hundreds of fiery steeds with the speed of the wind, executing all these complex movements. Second, they use the vehicle itself as a weapon. The very tread of the horses and the rattling chariot wheels actually trample the demons, referred to in the text here as the sons of Diti, or Danavas, right into the ground. And finally, as the chariot maneuvers, Arjuna unleashes devastating volleys of shafts into the remaining attackers. The synergy is so perfect that the demons begin falling by the hundreds. In fact, Arjuna himself even pauses for a second to marvel at Matali's prowess in guiding these fiery steeds with such ease.
Okay, let's see how this builds in our next section, Unleashing the Divine Arsenal.
Because of course, the demons aren't finished. Conventional weapons are no longer enough, and the battlefield goes magical. The surviving demons regroup, waxing wroth, and discharge mighty showers of arrows. Arjuna instantly adapts, answering not just with regular arrows, but with fleet weapons inspired by Brahma mantras, swiftly beginning to literally burn the demons. Sorely pressed, the Asuras retaliate again, pouring a fresh, massive torrent of clubs, darts, and swords directly at him. The escalation is rapid, forcing Arjuna to reach for a supreme countermeasure to neutralize this overwhelming barrage.
And that crucial turning point is his deployment of the Maghavan. This is the favorite weapon of Indra, the Lord of the Celestials, a prime weapon of pure, fiery energy. Arjuna draws this divine armament and unleashes it. And it's truly incredible. By the raw energy of the Maghavan alone, he cuts the incoming tridents, swords, and heavy weapons into 1,000 pieces mid-air. He completely neutralizes their offensive strike, and then, in his ire, cuts off their arms, piercing them again with 10 shafts each. Now, I want to slow down for just a second to really appreciate the vivid imagery the source text uses to describe this moment. It says, "In the field, arrows were shot from the Gandiva like onto rows of black bees." It's such a beautiful yet terrifying poetic metaphor. The arrows are so thick, so swift, and so perfectly aligned that they resemble an aggressive swarm of black insects. It's so intense that even Matali pauses to admire the magnificent sight of it. And the result of that insect-like swarm is total devastation. The text leans on this incredibly visceral sensory simile, stating, "Blood began to flow from their torn frames, even as in the rainy season, waters run down from the summits of mountains." I mean, wow. Arjuna is using fleet, straight coursing shafts that possess the touch of Indra's thunderbolt. The impact is so severe, so physically shattering, that the demons are left streaming with blood like mountains in a heavy monsoon.
And this sets the stage for our final act, the illusion counterattack. So the demons have been outmaneuvered, outgunned, and physically broken. The text explicitly notes they are greatly agitated, their bodies are pierced in hundreds of places, and the sheer physical force of their arms is vastly diminished. They know they cannot win a conventional fight, so they pivot to their absolute final resort, which is illusion. And that leaves us with a thrilling cliffhanger right from the source material. The Nivata-Kavachas begin to fight Arjuna using the help of illusion. We've seen Arjuna master the bow, we've seen him deploy divine fire, and we've seen him command a chariot of hundreds of steeds. But when physical weapons fail, how does a mortal warrior defeat the magic of illusions? It's a fascinating question about the limits of physical warfare against the supernatural, and it reminds us that true mastery means being ready when the rules of the game completely change. Keep that question in mind as you explore more ancient warfare. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.